Anandam Pramasugadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatītam Gaganashuddham Tattvamasya Rilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavadhitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Nityananda. Hi, this is Ma Nitya Ovyananda. Tonight I want to share some things that Swamiji said in the evening satsang, the evening discourse he gives every night at 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So many things he said, it's amazing. I wish I already had the transcript, but we have to wait for that. But some truths I would like to tell regarding especially food and the place we live, the environment we live. He was actually looking at the Kamic Agamas. The Agamas, one of the sets of Agamas revealed by Sadashiva. Mostly the Kamic Agamas has the plan for basically how to live, how to build a home, how to have your land, what to wear, how to bathe, all of those kind of things that are conducive to enlightenment. So each thing, the way it's placed is important. The way in which you bathe is important. The direction you face is important for the different energy flows in your system. So it's a very scientific and amazing thing. So Swamiji shared with us how he was actually looking at Google Earth. And he was looking at Tiruvannamalai, where he was born, his birthplace, and seeing how the things were laid out and how it actually matches perfectly with Kamic Agama. And the hill itself, Arunachala hill, is actually the body of Sadashiva. And all the lingams around are so that he can be worshipped, because it's difficult to pour water and do the puja to a giant mountain hill. And each placement of the various temples and all is in the perfect alignment, energetically and cosmically is in the perfect alignment. So he was sharing that. Then he was getting into how it's actually a conspiracy against consciousness and against humanity, how the food industry is running, how it's actually harming people and killing people. Basically, the foods are so toxic and plastic. He said most cities, there's not even any real food. It's like a desert. Because either the food is made with GMO products or non-veg food, or food, like let's say by Monsanto, which has so much chemicals, and the seeds are altered. All of that stuff is really actually very horrible and detrimental, not only to the human body, but to the actual soil, the air. Do you know that a lot of these companies will, unfortunately, ship chemicals, pesticide products to India, but those same countries will never buy 1 gram of what is grown from those chemicals from India? What does that say? And if you look at Monsanto, the bodysuits they wear just to spray the chemicals on the food, because it can't even touch the skin at all. But yet it's okay and safe to eat that food? Where is the logic in that? It is completely, I can't even wrap my head around it or understand it. And the health of a field, you'll see bees naturally forming honeycombs in fields. But if you see when Monsanto moves in and starts farming, how many millions of bees die off? Because the land is so horrible. If they were to eat that flower that is grown from that earth in which the Monsanto chemical was on, and that bee was to take the nectar from that flower, that bee would just immediately die. So they're just dying off. I mean, it's really horrible. I cannot believe that this company, and I've read about them for years, and many people are aware of them, but I just can't believe how they're allowed to still exist on planet Earth. So hopefully we'll see some changes with that, like immediately. And then Swamiji was saying you can tell the health of the air in a place where you're living if sparrows are there. Because sparrows have such sensitive lungs, lung tissue, that they can't tolerate any pollution or any polluted air. So typically you won't see any sparrows near roadsides or any real polluted areas. But if you see sparrows coming, then you know the air is good and okay for humans. But if you don't see any sparrows, then you have to wonder and question that air that you're breathing in. Because the human lungs are also very fragile and important and sensitive to those chemicals and to that pollution in the air. So these are different ways that you can test. And also the water in an area. Swamiji was sharing how when he grew up, the ducks and the different animals, the doves, the ducks, different types of birds would be able to drink the drainage water that comes from kitchens and all those things. Because, it's mixed with food and what for cleaning and all, so it's okay. It's not like wastewater. But even so, that water is clean and pure. It means there's no chemicals in it. But when you see them steering away from other places, like restaurants or other places that are using chemical food, you won't see any ducks or any wild birds drinking from that area. So these are all different sciences, and a lot of it, is just common sense. But let's stop and think about that. How are we putting those kinds of things into our body? How is it making us dull? Like the pesticides are almost just as detrimental as eating non-veg food. Did you ever read about Kentucky Fried Chicken? How much chemicals are pumped? I think there was something recently even that the USDA or one of the organizations in the United States has said that it's harmful for human consumption because of all of the chemicals they're putting into that meat. I mean, what are we putting in the body? It's very unsafe and it's making people sick. So many people are not only obese, but they're sick and they're suffering so many different health reasons or health issues now. Did we see so many health issues 100 years ago when medicine was worse? There was less advancement in medicine around the 1900s. But yet you didn't see people getting sick like this and going to the doctor all the time for prescription drugs left and right. Don't you wonder what is all the ingredients in the food that you can't even pronounce and you're eating it? And why you're feeling sick and why people have so much acid reflux and so much of this intestinal issues and what's that one? The irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, and all of these different things. I'll share something with you. I used to have the symptoms of IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And I even went to doctors and, took all these tests because I couldn't figure out why. I was always messed up in the stomach and all. And, I used to get those different reactions of acidity and the different kinds of, loose motion and constipation and all these crazy, mixture of things in one day. And such an, upset stomach, continuously having those issues. And I used to also, have issue with urinary tract things and all. And I could never figure it out. And I had it for some time, on and off, a couple years before meeting Swamiji. Then after I met Swamiji, and then I started to develop the vegetarian diet fully. And then after I had the Kundalini awaken and started practicing yoga and then living in the ashram, I haven't had any problems since. It's really interesting because the first year I got to the ashram, I actually felt like my body was going through a little bit of a detoxification. Because there were several times I was having sort of an adjustment to that, having a cleansing going on. But I have to say I'm as fit as a fiddle. I have not had any issues. I am totally healthy. And I've been a vegetarian now for at least over 5 years. No, seven, wow. Wait a minute. 7 years now. And I'm totally healthy. So people that are saying, oh, you don't have protein, you're going to die. It's so sick what's put in your head. This misconception that you're going to die without eating meat. I mean, it's totally wrong. And I even have went recently for blood tests just because they wanted to check everybody's levels in the ashram and all. And we did. We checked everything and everybody's healthy. I have totally everything, blood sugar, all the things. My blood pressure is low. Not low, but not even near high. It's a little below. And everything is totally great. So, and I'm eating completely organic sattvic food as given by Sadashiva in the Agamas. So I haven't even remembered actually that I used to have this IBS until now when I'm talking to you. How much of torture I used to actually have. I was not comfortable. And I haven't had any problems since. It's amazing. And I used to get colds all the time and this and that and various things, but now I'm not having any problems and I'm healthy. So I'm urging you to do research and understand what's going on in what you're eating. I'm not trying to preach morals and say, oh, don't eat meat and this and that, and I'm not some, pitta person or what. But I am telling from the Enlightenment consciousness standpoint, what Swamiji tells us and teaches us is valid. Because it's true in my own life, what I've experienced. When you eat that stuff, you're just getting into unconsciousness. The people that want to control the population and keep them dull, and into that taste only, getting unhealthy, and having to go for medicines and all this tests and surgeries and all of these diseases coming up. I mean, the quality of life should be great. The quality of life should be healthful for everybody. And everybody deserves that. So don't be keeping yourself in the dark. Do some research at least on it. Start with researching white sugar. White sugar, I found a lot of interesting facts on white sugar, and we have it like there's no tomorrow. It's in everything. All our baking, our coffee, our tea, food itself. Corn syrup is a killer. Corn syrup and sugar. Just look up something on that. It actually feeds cancer cells. They say how everybody has here and there little cells that are abnormal in the body, and those come and go. But imagine if you're feeding it with something like sugar or corn syrup, you're actually causing the soil, the ground, to be fertile for cancer to grow. Who wants to do that? Nobody. There's plenty of great organic and alternative methods to sweetening your bakery goods and your tea and coffee and all of those things. Starting with jaggery, which is what we use here in India. It's a natural product, jaggery. Also in the US, I think I was using like a coconut based, like a coconut sugar. I forgot the exact name. But it was an unprocessed, unrefined sugar from coconut somehow. I don't exactly remember. But even brown sugar, don't be fooled. Brown sugar is only white sugar with molasses. So don't be fooled by that. And if you have organic, bee-friendly farms in your area, honey is very good. There's nothing wrong with honey. So anyway, those are just some tidbits and some interesting things that Swamiji has said today that I find fascinating. Oh, and one more thing. In the Vedic tradition, all of the villages were self-sustaining. I don't know if you know this, but the villages were self-sustaining means each home had a variety of different trees. It was like 10 trees, and I don't know all the names. But tamarind was one. Neem, drumsticks used, and it's very healthy. It's used in our sambar, which is mixed with dal and other spices, and it's like the staple food that we mix with rice, sambar. And then there's the neem. Neem is great, especially if you have acid. You should get neem leaves or some kind of, I guess they have powder. You can drink that in the morning before your food. It actually helps. I used to take it all the time. I haven't been taking as much now because it's not available as much here where I am. But it would very much help when I was having IBS and then healing from that and taking the neem. It was regulating that acid in my system. And then other trees in the house they would have that were used for medicine and cooking. And each house had these things, these natural products that they would consume and use. And then anything outside of that, they would trade or whatnot. But all of the villages were self-sustaining and self-sufficient. They didn't need to ship anything. Swamiji was saying the only roads that were in India were the pilgrimage roads. Those were the only roads necessary. Only luxury items maybe were shipped around. But on a daily basis, there didn't need to be any transportation and movement of food items or any kind of items because everything was grown there on the land itself where you live. Because also if you're having a discomfort or some disease in the body and you walk barefoot on that earth where you live for some time, Bhumata, Mother Earth, will start to grow those items that you need to become healthy. It's true. It's an amazing thing. But anyway, these little facts that are huge facts and huge sciences, as Swamiji is telling. Every neighborhood in the United States even can have their own self-sustaining method. They don't need to get food from these, kind of Monsantos and all of these things. Neighborhoods can have their own gardens and farming, and there could be solar power and wind power just for neighborhoods. They can have their own community thing. Anyway, that's just a little blur, but things can be done for this. Why are we having this corporate grown, mass-produced crap and putting it in our body and using it on our body? So just this little food for thought. So please do a little research and find out what I'm talking about. Okay? Thanks for listening tonight. Nityananda.